All right, so what we have here is a 99 Civic Coupe D16 Y8 engine. And this is my daughter's first car. She got her learner's permit and we were driving around and we just picked this thing up a couple weeks ago from a friend. He had a mechanic do some work to it. And here is what I think went wrong. So driving down the road, like I said, first time driver, she's probably got about 15 miles under her belt at this point, and all of a sudden we hear a loud clunk and it goes all along the bottom of the car and we have to pull over. What happened is the crank pulley actually came off, and one of the maintenance items that the previous owner had done by a shop was the timing belt. So ran down the road, picked up as many parts as I could, belts, the crank pulley bolt, and the crank pulley. Came back, and what I think happened is it wasn't torqued down. So one, they didn't torque it down to 118 foot-pounds, and then two, my guess is they didn't reinstall the woodruff pin. And that's just my guess on this. So I ordered a new pin as well as a new pulley, and I'm gonna pull it back apart. I did get it back together enough to get to the house, but I'll show you what the crank pulley looks like from the damage. The crank itself is fine, and the bolt wasn't messed up at all either, but the crank pulley, because it did wobble a little bit and then also got banged up on the road. I'll show you what the inside looks like compared to the used part that I ordered. So an item I had to pick up that I didn't have because we recently just moved was actually this tool right here, and it just sits inside of here. When you're putting it on and taking it off, it makes your life a lot easier as far as reinstalling and having to torque it down. So this is a $20 part from Advanced Auto Parts or AutoZone. But you will need this if you're gonna be taking it off, unless you wanna do it a different way, which there's a lot of different ways on YouTube. But this is the right way to do it without damaging anything or having to worry about bolts and ratchets flying around. So with that tool on there, what it's going to do is it's going to rest against this top frame rail. You can put the socket inside and then you can loosen it up. I did retorque this back down to 118 foot-pounds, so I'm pretty sure it's going to be a pain to get off. But that's the important reason for having that tool, to remove the crank pulley bolt and crank pulley. So here's the two crank pulleys side by side. This is the one that was on the car. As you can see, it's really worn. Some of the grooves are still there, but this is actually the used one that's in really good shape. It's in perfect shape. So we're gonna go ahead and put it back together. We're gonna put our new pin on in the little notch, and then we're gonna torque it down to 118 foot-pounds of torque and see how everything works, and if we have any wobble or anything like that. We shouldn't, but we'll see. All right, so we replaced the crank pulley and the woodruff pin. Just primarily because of this right here. I just threw it back together. I didn't have a pin. Just shoved the bolts in. As you can see, this thing's pretty beat up. But yeah, so whenever you're doing these, your timing belt, anything where you need to take this crank pulley off, make sure that you torque it down to 118 foot-pounds, and make sure you have your pin to put back in the alignment tool. That helps keep everything together, and the right torque helps keep this thing on. Hopefully you won't have any more issues. Hoping we don't now. So thanks for watching. And if you have any comments, go ahead and drop below.